What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a good start to their day. So I'm glad to see I'm glad to see this article, and I'm gonna say I thought I was the only one that was being vocal about this, because I haven't seen too many other content creators calling this out, unless they are, and I just haven't come across their video or come across their update regarding this matter. But last week, the 27th, we got some news. We got the latest news on the Legacy sequel, the new sequel, whatever we want to call it, for I Know What You Did Last Summer. It comes out later this year, actually here in a few months. I believe it's June or July it's coming out. And they finally released not only a new poster, but they also released the official synopsis for the film. And in our video, and if you haven't seen it, again, I uploaded on the 27th of last week. Go check it out, because we go over the synopsis, we take a look at the poster. I'm going to stand on my soapbox for pretty much a good portion of this video. And again, when I came across this article that was published yesterday morning, I saw the headline, what's this going to be talking about? And as I read it, it was like hitting point by point as to what I was saying last week. So I wanted to pull it up and provide everyone someone else's perspective. Again, that I'm glad I'm not the only one that was seeing this. I'm glad I'm not the only one. At least I'm not going crazy, at least. So as you see, and this is not just for the I Know What You Did Last Summer Legacy sequel, again, whatever we want to call it. This is a broad stroke across Hollywood, I think. And I think this is becoming even more relevant when it comes to horror films or long-lasting, long-living horror IPs. I mean, we've seen the fallout from the whole Saw 11 situation. I think it's fair to say I don't have any expectations that Saw 11 is going to happen. And I think for those who do still have expectations for it, it's going to be a long time before I think that's going to happen, if it does in fact happen. The reason why I don't think it's going to happen is I don't see the rights holders selling the rights to another studio or another company to do it, or be willing to partner with somebody else. Because I think in order for somebody else to come in and partner with the rights holder to get Saw 11 made and done, I don't think they're going to want to deal with the same nonsense that's going on right now. I mean, not too many studios or executives want to deal with that type of nonsense. They're in the business to make money, and with this now becoming so public as far as, egos and, who's making this amount of money, who's making that amount of money, I mean, no one wants to deal with that. So I don't have any expectation Saw 11 is going to happen. But then again, we saw the back and forth with the Crystal Lake TV series. We finally now feels like it's going to be happening. There's casting starting for it, which we also reported on last week, but that still doesn't mean a whole lot. It gives us a little bit more confidence that it's actually going to happen, but this is Hollywood. It can easily get canceled next week, right? So this article talks about, is Hollywood incapable of capitalizing on beloved franchises? Whether it's Saw, Friday the 13th, or even I Know What You Did Last Summer, Hollywood seems incapable of doing right by the fans. I believe that to be true on, not 100% true, but I do believe that to be true on a large portion, that Hollywood and executives are clearly in it to push their ideas. And even if a director or creator comes in and brings a great story, brings a great script or concept or idea, those, for whatever reason, that executive feels, yeah, but you're going to make these changes because this is what I like. And this is somebody who's never directed, never wrote a movie script, never done any acting, nothing. And I feel like they handcuff creators a lot. And again, that's not just in the horror genre. That's across the entire, Hollywood movie spectrum. But for the sake of this video, we're only talking about horror films. So let's get down into this. So this week we were treated to the teaser poster and plot synopsis for the Legacy sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer. And this is exactly what I was saying last week, and I'm glad somebody else is saying it. And it may as well have been copy and pasted from the first film. A generic hook, the same title of the film released nearly 30 years ago, and damn near exact same plot synopsis. I mean, that is practically verbatim what I said last week. This is, when I read the synopsis and we covered it, it literally felt like I was just reading the back of a VHS or DVD copy from 30 years ago, and this is the exact same movie. And this is the best that we can get, really. So, and the synopsis is right there in the red. I'll read it real quickly. So, when five friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell-bent on revenge. As one by one, the friends are stalked by a killer. They discover this has happened before, and they turn to two survivors of the legendary Southport Massacre of 1997 for help. I mean, if you take out that last little bit, where it says they discover this has happened before, from that point forward, take that out, and that is literally the synopsis for the original film. Verbatim, exactly what transpired. And as I mentioned in the video last week, I'm going to state it real quickly here again. I feel like it's going to be literally a carbon copy, just now in a modern time, 2024, 2025. And once a couple, 2 or 3 friends get killed off, the remaining of them will show up at Julie James's, apartment or house, and Ray will be out there mowing the lawn or doing some nonsense, and they're gonna say, "Are you Julie James? We need your help. This is what's happening. Oh, come in." And they'll sit at some table, they'll have tea or they'll portray to have tea or coffee, and they'll go over what transpired with them back, 30 years ago. And then that will be probably the most that we'll see of Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt until probably the last 5-10 minutes of this film. And they'll show up to try to save the day or help save the day. They'll get injured or something stupid will happen. And that's how this sequel is going to wrap up. And it's just, to me, it's just a complete waste of time. It's sloppy. It's lazy. Why are you even doing this if this is the film you're going to give? Now let's continue. Don't get me wrong. You could essentially say that Scream 5 had this exact issue, which it just being called Scream upon release and following a similar plot. But I'd argue there's quite a difference. The Scream franchise had the Stab franchise within it, which allows them to comment on their own series in a meta way. Parallels can be called out by characters because all they need to do is watch the Stab films to know what happened prior. In this last summer sequel, a group of friends find themselves in the exact situation that occurred to Julie James and her friends 30 years prior, a situation that very few people are supposed to have known about. Yet not only has it gotten out there enough for it to be recreated, but for this new group to connect, it is happening in the past. Last summer isn't and has never been meta, so any connection would just be convoluted. Why is redoing the first film story the only solution when it comes to picking up this story 30 years later? But hell, at least we're getting a new I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now that part I don't agree with. If you're going to literally give me the original film again, and it's just 30 years later, and somehow now their secret is out, the story is out there, and it's been out there now for 30 years. One, within that movie's world, why isn't anyone then holding them accountable for the initial crime they committed, which was killing somebody, right? But that doesn't come out to question. It just comes out to question that, for whatever reason, it didn't come out after the first film. All this didn't come out until after unless they're going to ignore the second and third film, which the third film, really doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. But yes, there was a third film, there was a TV series. But if we think about just the first 2 films, are we now ignoring the second film of what Ray and Julie went through there? And now we're just only focusing on the first film? And now the public knows what these kids did 30 years ago, and no one's upset about what happened. There's no accountability there whatsoever. So, because even today, in the real world, there'd be accountability for a situation like that if you kept it on the wraps for 30 years. But now they're just they're treated like folk heroes of this little small fishing community, this little town, and now it's happening again. Now we have some sort of copycat happening. So 5 of these friends find themselves driving on a road, hitting somebody. the exact same way that happened 30 years prior. That's just lazy. And this last part here, but hell, at least we're getting a new I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'd rather not have another film if you're just going to give me the first film again. It's lazy. It's sloppy. Don't do it. It's not, to me, it's not even worth the effort if I'm just going to, otherwise I'll just go watch the first movie again. And it's 2025, I'll just pretend, hey, it's 2025 in the film. I'm just watching it again. So let's move on. Looking at other horror franchises, Nightmare on Elm Street has been on the back burner for 15 years, despite Freddy Krueger still being enough of a pop culture figure to appear in video games and TV shows. Yet you're telling me we couldn't get a sequel? I understand that the Craven estate is stingy with the right, but let's move on. Hell, Michael Myers had a recent trilogy that essentially erased the other films in the franchise. What the hell are we even doing here? And there's the baffling decision to prequelize Friday the 13th, because that's what I want from my Jason Voorhees series, a film about his life before becoming a hockey mask wearing, machete wielding psychopath. Now with that one, I will say it's not a film, we're getting a TV series, and the TV series, my understanding, what we've covered here, is primarily focusing on Pamela Voorhees and her descent into madness and how she eventually became the first killer in the very first Friday the 13th. It wasn't Jason. So I don't think this TV series is going to have really any primary focus on Jason as a young child. My prediction is if they do 8 episodes, the first 3 or 4 episodes, Jason will be alive, and then that's when he will supposedly drown. And then again, we will start to potentially see this descent of Pamela going down this rabbit hole of madness before we get led into the actions of the original film of her killing these camp counselors years later. And who knows, she may have killed others between this series and that first film, and we just never knew about it because they have that whole span of time to potentially do something, whatever that span of time is going to be, because we don't even know how much further back this is going to be taking place from the original film. So that's still to be known. So let's keep moving on. Most of the appeal of the Friday the 13th franchise comes from Jason Voorhees. I absolutely agree with that. Stalking and killing various teens and young adults. There's plenty of sex and violence, and they tend to go for the entertainment value over logic. There are 12 Friday the 13th films, and nearly every single one of them follows this formula. So it's pretty surprising that the franchise died after the very successful 2009 reboot, which I absolutely enjoyed. It's made all the more baffling when you consider Friday the 13th fans have been clamoring for more. The lawsuit complicated things for years, which is likely why we ended up in our situation. But that doesn't excuse the strange decisions about bringing the franchise back post-lawsuit. Linda Cardellina is an absolutely fantastic actress, but I can't imagine a world where I give a shit about Pamela Voorhees and her problems. And I can see that, and I can respect that. She's a villain. We had an entire film that showed her taking unjust revenge on counselors that had absolutely nothing to do with her son's death. I don't and have never cared about Pamela's plight. We got more than enough of her in the first film, and adding any more to her backstory just has the potential to taint that first film. How many times did it need to be said that we don't need more villain background before someone actually starts listening? I absolutely agree with that as well. Let's keep going. It's infuriating that we can't get a proper Jason-led Friday film, yet we are getting a prequel about his mother that no one asked for. This feels like yet another studio trying to check the boxes on how to take advantage of a fan group because it may have the Crystal Lake name attached to it, but it's so far from everything we know that makes Friday the 13th what it is. It may as well be something else entirely. In this day and age of marketing, attaching your own original ideas to established properties seems to be the norm. I agree. But there's plenty of films that we don't ask for, and they put them out there for whatever reason. And I think that's where some of these, these people who are making these decisions need to be checked. There needs to be another, impartial third party potentially saying, hey, is this really a good idea? Is this really what the fans are, wanting and asking for? If we can't, really justify that, then why are we doing it, right? Let's move. And we have this last bit. We're wrapping this up. Hell, even the Saw franchise is dealing with creative struggle despite coming off of one of the most successful entries in the franchise. How on earth do you course correct your franchise after so many missteps and then proceed to shit the bed with it? Just give us Saw 11 with Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, and Costas Mandler, It's really not that difficult. Yet, if rumors are to be believed, one of the producers wants a reboot. Again, what the hell are we doing here? Does Hollywood hate money? I'm beginning to think so. Again, I agree. I don't think they hate money. I think they know what's best, and I think they believe they know what's best for the fans and what the fans truly want. And none of what's happening is what the fans want. Now, am I going to watch Crystal Lake? Absolutely. Am I jumping for joy, over the moon, excited for it? No, not really, but I'm interested to see. I'm interested in what it's going to be about. But if you asked me, do I want a prequel Crystal Lake series focusing on Pam Voorhees, or do I want a reboot, remake, another sequel to Friday the 13th done right, done like a true horror slasher, give me a lot of gore, don't hold back type film? I would take the latter. Give me that. I'm okay, to the point of this author of this article, I'm okay not getting a Pamela prequel to know about her story. I mean, we covered off that supposedly she was a singer, that she's given up on her career to take care of Jason, and apparently then somehow she finds herself now working at Camp Crystal Lake, and then what? So what, I mean, really, what are we going to see in this potential 8 to 10 episodes, roughly 42 minutes per episode? I mean, this is unless she's doing something, unless she's killing people and that we never knew about before Friday the 13th original film, then what are you going to be showing me that's going to make me care for her any more than I probably didn't care for her before, and felt that I was okay with just her being the killer for one film and she was killed and then that was it. So anyways, I'm climbing off my soapbox now. That's this horror news update. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Again, we called this last week, and again, I'm happy to see somebody else calling it out as well. For this, specifically for I Know What You Did Last Summer, it is literal carbon copy of the 97 film. Doesn't make any sense. Pure laziness, pure sloppy in my opinion. Again, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree. And if you disagree, let me know. I would love to know, what your thoughts are if you disagree. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. And we'll see you at the next one. Peace.